everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. In this video, you're going to see my 5-star prediction round 5, I believe, wrap up. So I liked being able to talk about the books as I read them, and I will be doing this vlog style again for my wrap up instead of a sit down wrap up. I will likely be reading the books closer together this time because 3 of them are on my May TBR and it's May 17th. So I will definitely be reading 3 of them in the next few weeks. And I see no reason not to read the other 2 in a timely fashion. So this is my stack. On my TBR, I believe, is the Time Castaways, The Sword of Summer, and River. As you can see, Discord of Gods is a new book to the library, so I have to read that in a relatively quick fashion as well. So the only one that would really be outstanding is Ellen Outside the Lines, and I see no reason why I can't read that in the very near future as well. So hopefully I will be able to plow through this stack and love all of them. Speaking of, I started this video because I've actually started reading the Time Castaways. So I'm on page 130. And I'm definitely intrigued. So we're following 3 siblings, Mateo, Ruby, and Corey. Ruby and Corey are twins, and Mateo is adopted and is only like 6, 7, 8 months, something like that, older than them. Like, I don't think he's even a full year older than them. And they live in New York City, and one day they are running late for school and decide to take the subway, even though they know they're not supposed to take public transportation, and they end up on a train that brings them back to Paris in 1911. And from what I can tell, this is the beginning of an adventure they're going to find themselves on. This is told from Mateo's point of view, and it is interesting to see how he's feeling about things, given that he's not one of the twins, and each of the kids feels like a very different person and has got their distinct personalities, which I like because it's kind of showing their roles in this book and how they're going to perceive situations. Because I would say Corey is very much a risk taker, and so far Ruby seems really level-headed, and Mateo seems like somebody who is kind of somewhere in the middle. Like, he's so level-headed, but he also wants to be able to throw caution to the wind and really experience life. So it is interesting seeing that dynamic. I'm curious how time travel works and why these kids were chosen to be able to time travel, because I've gotten the distinct impression that it's not something that is open to everybody, and there's certain people that get targeted with the ability to time travel and ending up on what is actually a ship that can be a train or any mode of transportation that it needs to be. I'm definitely enjoying this so far. I don't know yet if it's 5 stars. We'll have to see. I think I'm still a little too early, especially in a book that involves time travel, so sci-fi, to determine whether I'm going to love it. But I definitely think if it continues on this path, it will be a 4-star at least. So I'm enjoying this, and we'll hopefully be able to have a 4-star, if not a 5-star, and that this round of 5-star predictions will go better than the last, because, oh boy, was that last one rough. So this is off to a much better start than the last round, which gives me high hopes for the group of books that I've chosen. So it is May 23rd, and it's time to check in, as I've actually made some progress on my 5-star prediction. So first up, last time I talked to you, I was reading The Mona Lisa Key by Liesl Shurtleff, and I think I'm going 4.25 stars. In this book, we're following Mateo, Corey, and Ruby, who end up taking the Vermilion, which is a time-traveling ship that can shift into different kinds of things that fit the time period they're in. It's like a time-traveling transportation device, and when it's in the midst of a travel, so when it's in the dimension of time between places, it is a ship. And they end up on the ship and end up going back to 1911 Paris, and end up basically completely having their minds blown as they find out about time travel and learn the rules of this and learn that there's a lot more going on in their world than they thought there was. I really did enjoy this. I liked seeing our main character, Mateo, grow throughout the book because everything is told from his point of view. I'm very curious to see if we continue from his point of view in book 2, or if we get Ruby or Corey's point of view in book 2, and then maybe the third child's point of view in the 3rd book. I definitely will be continuing on with this series. it turned out to be quite enjoyable, and while it didn't hit that 5-star mark, it was still really, really good, and I'm excited to continue on with the series. Then, during Bookathon, I read The Sword of Summer, which is the first book in the Gods of Asgard series, and I'm going 4.5 stars on this. In this book, we're following Magnus, whose mother died under suspicious circumstances, to say the least, and he's been homeless for the 2 years since she died because his dad has never been in the picture, and he ends up finding out that he is the child of a god of Asgard, and his uncle ends up informing him of all of this, and his life kind of gets turned upside down as he has no choice but to deal with the new reality he's found himself in, and we kind of get to see his adventures ensue from there. And I really enjoyed this. I loved getting to see Magnus kind of try to get his feet underneath him. I love the way Rick Riordan weaves mythology in his books, and this was no exception. I know some stuff about the Norse gods, so it was interesting to see that kind of play out and to learn some stuff about some Norse gods that I didn't know. I am definitely very intrigued to see what happens in book 2 based on the way book 1 ended, and hopefully I will be able to continue on the series sooner rather than later. It didn't quite hit 5 stars, but it was still really, really good. And so far, this round is off to a way better start than round 4. And then the last 5-star prediction I read, because again, I read another one for Bookathon, is River by Aaron Hunter. So this is the first book in the 8th arc of 6, which means I can't really tell you what's going on because, well, that would be spoilers for other parts of the series. But we're following 3 new points of view. And let me see, what can I tell you about them? I think all 3 of them are struggling to figure out where they fit in their clans, because we have one cat from Shadow Clan, one cat from Thunder Clan, and one cat from River Clan. And it's definitely interesting to get to see points of view from other clans. I like that now that we're later in the series, not every cat's point of view is Thunder Clan, so it is interesting to see the differences within each clan. Even if it's, like when they call a clan meeting in Thunder Clan, I believe the phrase is, let all of those who are old enough to catch their own prey gather. And in River Clan, it's let all of those who are old enough to swim on their own, or something like that. So I like seeing the slight differences between the clans and their verbiage and how things play out and the differences in their camps and all of that. So I thought that was really cool. I think I'm going 4 stars on this. It wasn't my favorite opening to a series, and I definitely knew the last arc was going to be really, really hard to top. But I am intrigued based on the way things played out in this book. I'm curious to see what happens with these 3 cats that we're following and how their journeys continue to go and how each of their stories plays into the bigger picture. Because usually there's something that spans all 6 books in the arc. So I'm curious to see how these 3 play into whatever that bigger story is. I'm still loving the series, and while it didn't get 5 stars, I still really enjoyed it. So far, so good. I've got 3 down, and like I said, I think 4.25, 4.5, and 4. Definitely better than last round. I'm very excited to see if Discord of Gods or Ellen Outside the Lines can hit that 5-star mark. I'm planning on reading both of them in June, so I will hopefully be able to wrap this up sooner rather than later, as they're both eagerly anticipated reads of mine. Ellen Outside the Lines is actually on my TBR. I just filmed my TBR video today. I managed to get that on my TBR. Discord of Gods, I did not, but it's probably going to be the first book I pick up in June, if I'm being completely honest, because, well, I'm so incredibly excited to read that book. And the first 4 books in that series have gotten 5 stars, so I have really high hopes that I'm going to get at least 1 5-star in this round, but I guess we'll have to see. So I will check back in with you all soon when I have made some progress in either Ellen Outside the Lines and or Discord of Gods. So it is June 8th, and I thought I would check in because I finished Ellen Outside the Lines. So this is a book about a young girl named Ellen who is autistic and is worried about her one and only friendship with her best friend Laurel, and is also worried about this class trip she's going to be taking to Barcelona. Ellen likes having lists and planning everything out, and this trip could mean a lot of unexpected things that she can't plan for. On top of that, she feels like her and Laurel have been growing apart, so she's really hoping this trip will get their friendship back on track. Of course, once she gets there, things don't go according to plan, and she has to kind of adapt and roll with the punches, which isn't something she is good at. So, this book obviously has autistic rep, since our main character is autistic. The author is also autistic, so its own voices. There is Jewish rep, because Ellen, our main character, and her family are Jewish, and we get to see a lot of that displayed throughout the book, which I thought was really, really cool. And there is a lot of queer rep. There are several different characters who fall into the LGBTQ plus community, and I really loved getting to see all of the different representation that happens throughout this book. And of course, our author is also part of the community. So again, own voices there. All that being said, I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely love the way AJ Sass crafts a story and sets things up. I loved the setting of Barcelona and how he kind of brought that to life and the way he went about making that a big part of his story. I really enjoyed getting to see things from Ellen's point of view and how she struggled with everything that was going on in this new and unfamiliar environment when things weren't really going according to plan. And I loved seeing how she struggled with her friendship with Laurel, because that is absolutely something you go through in middle grade. People start to branch out, they start to make new friends, and for Ellen especially, this is very, very hard for her because the only friend she's got is Laurel. So it is interesting to see her having to adapt to that and kind of deal with the fallout from that and doing it in such an unfamiliar place. I think there's so much great rep in this book, and I think it is just another amazing book from AJ Sass, because I read Anne on the Edge. I gave that 5 stars. I'm giving this one 5 stars too. So AJ Sass has now definitely 100% become an auto-buy author for me, because I've loved both of his books and plan to continue to read anything that they would choose to write, because it's just brilliant and really relatable, even though I'm an adult. But like, he makes these characters feel very, very real. And I cannot wait for the little ones in my life to be old enough to read both of their books, because they're an incredible writer and they write about such important things that I'm so excited to be able to pass these on to my little ones and give them a completely different perspective to the one that they may have themselves. And I almost forgot, because I tend to forget the ones that are on my list unless I'm looking at it, because I have so many books I think will be 5 stars that I forget which ones I put in the video. I've also read Discord of Gods. This also got 5 stars. This is the 5th and final book in the A Chorus of Dragons series, and in the first book we're following Kieran, who grew up in the slums and ends up finding out he is the lost member of one of the royal houses, and that there's a whole prophecy about him and the effect he's going to have on the world. And this is a very political fantasy, and it's just been brilliant. Every single book in this series has gotten 5 stars, and this one was no exception. It is a new favorite series of mine. I love the way this book went about wrapping up all of the threads and kind of bringing together the story that has been told in the first 4 books. I think the ending was superb. It was absolutely brilliant, and just, I couldn't imagine it ending any better. This is definitely going to be a series I reread. There is no doubt in my mind about that, because I loved it that much that there's just no way I won't reread this at some point down the line and see what I notice in a reread that foreshadowed events that I read in subsequent books. So another amazing 5-star read for me, and just, yeah, 2 5-star reads back to back, not bad. So that actually means I'm done with this round of 5-star predictions, which I honestly wasn't expecting. I had to double check. So as a recap, I read The Mona Lisa Key, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I read The Sword of Summer, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I read River, and I gave this 4 stars. I read A Discord of Gods, and I gave this 5 stars. And I read Ellen Outside the Lines, and I gave that 5 stars. I think this was a much more successful round of 5-star predictions than last time, seeing as last time I disliked a majority of my books, and these are all new favorites. Like, absolutely adored. Was missing 1 or 2 things that would have made them like top tier, and still really, really loved. Great start to an arc. So absolutely brilliant. loved this round. I'm really happy with my choices. And, well, that's it for this vlog. All of my social media, including my Discord, is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me star emojis, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!